Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to an all-new weekly art challenge review video. I'm your host, BJ Dell. If you are new to the channel, basically I do one of these videos every single Wednesday. At the end of the video, I give you guys a word prompt for that week, and then you draw a design based on that word and you post it online. If you guys want to take part in these challenges going forward, stay tuned to the end of the video and I will tell you exactly how you can submit your design. But then the following Wednesday, I handpick a few entries from that previous week and do a review video like the one you're watching now. I don't pick the same person every week. I don't pick the best. I don't pick the worst. I just basically pick out designs that kind of stand out, that they have something that I can use as a teaching tool for viewers like you. So last week's word was elf. So let's see what you guys came up with. Alright guys, let's go ahead and jump into this week's video all about the word elf, and the first one up is from Justin B. And Justin said that this drawing was done using only ballpoint pen and the background and shading was done with ink. So a fantastic traditional piece. I want to show this off because I mentioned this quite a bit in the videos. If you guys want to submit artwork for these challenges, it can be digital or it can be traditional, whatever way that you feel comfortable submitting your designs and drawing in. So if you don't have an iPad or anything else like that, feel free to go ahead and just submit traditional work like Justin did. And this one is just really, really cool. I love the character design of this. Standing on top of the skulls is a really cool design choice, and that black solid background just really makes the design pop. Got that nice white kind of stroke around everything to let that kind of breathe from the background. I think that's really cool. One thing to kind of look at this and take away from Justin's work is I know a lot of people get hung up on proportions and drawing bodies and anatomy and everything like that. One of the beautiful things about cartooning is you can kind of throw that out the window and just have fun with it. So you can see here, let me switch to a blue. So you can see here, you know, instead of worrying about, okay, well, I've got, you know, this leg coming down here, and then this is where the calf's going to be, and I've got, you know, the kneecap here, and this other calf's going to come here, and how do I connect everything here at the crotch, and how does this one bend here, and how does this calf come out here? You know, Justin just did a really kind of wise thing, and just this swooping kind of cartoony spaghetti noodle leg thing works really great for cartoons. Same thing here with the arms. Did the same thing with the arms as well. You've got these arms that are just kind of solid spaghetti noodles coming down, and it works for cartoons. It really works well for, you know, this design in particular. So definitely don't get too hung up on kind of the ins and outs, and play around and see what works for you, because obviously stuff like this can work well in the design. So try it out. One of the beautiful things about cartooning and not doing super realistic stuff. So give it a try. I love just the solid heavy outlines here too. Good line weights throughout, and then dropping the line weight here, like on the one the axe comes and overlaps with the hair here in the background. Really cool design choice. One thing I probably would have done a little bit different is, and I've talked about this before in videos, when I have multiple things like this with the skulls stacked up, I just like to give multiple items like this their own personality. So I probably would have done different, you know, facial expressions for the skulls. I know these are kind of more intended for maybe, you know, the bodies or the leftovers of, you know, his enemies, and you want the more kind of, I guess, lack of a better word, realistic skull, so all the skulls are going to look the same. But I would almost just, you know, gone crazy with those and had fun with the cartooning, you know, and given them, you know, different expressions and different sizes here, and, you know, maybe just played around with giving them different looks and making each one its own character in addition to him being his character. But a really, really good job. So thanks for sharing that this week, Justin. The next one up is Gavin G, and this one is just really, really cool. So you got this kind of warrior elf, just a really strong character design on this. I love the line work too. Great use of just pretty much a solid line weight throughout, but the lines look crisp, they look clean, and I think it really works for the design. Another thing here too I like is the way that the shoulder here on the left hand side comes off. You've got this kind of chest piece coming around with the necklace and the metal armor here, but then, you know, the way that the design kind of stops here and curves up. So rather than, you know, stopping it here on this side as well, comes down, you've got kind of this negative space here, which really kind of frames the design. I think that's a really good design choice. I just love just all the details of like this head armor, just really fantastic job, and just a great job of doing, you know, the shading in here with the shadows. to really give that some dimension to it, and you can really see how that lays on top of her head. So just really cool. On top of that too, just these black lines coming through here drop the opacity, so they almost work as kind of like these overlay shadows, which I think is a really cool design choice as well. But just an overall fantastic piece. Colors are great, and I especially love this texture here in the background. It just really kind of pulls everything together. So great job, Gavin. Next up is Mike, and this one is just amazing. Love this so much. So no, hard outlines or anything like that. The colors actually do the work of the outlines. Just some fantastic textures through here too that you can see. Just a really, really good job, and love this kind of swirl texture around here. Same texture here was used over in the face, but you can see, it kind of performs two different jobs. So this one's kind of the swirl of the light, and this one's more the texture of the face, but it works really fantastic. Also love that it's a completed piece. You've got the main character here, but this background, and you can see with this, once we start breaking it down, it looks like a fully complete, just super crazy detailed background and a complete picture. But when you kind of get further into it, it's really just these kind of silhouettes hanging down here of different colors against a different colored background here. So there's not a lot to it, but once you tie everything in together, it just makes a solid, complete, all-in-one piece. So just a fantastic job there. Love the colors, love the character design. Just super, super good. I love seeing Mike's stuff every week in the group. So thanks so much for posting that, Mike. Next up is Cheri, and Cheri's got this cute little elf on top of a mushroom here. Kind of forest scene with the heart and the bunny rabbit sitting down here. So a couple of things to note here. Like we talked about with Mike's, I think the background here, if you want a little bit simpler, I know it's kind of simple now, but taking Mike's as kind of an example here, just going with these kind of solid colors here that are, no outlines or anything else. They're just blocked in, and then alternating between different colors stacked on top of each other, and then a different color background. I think that yours could have definitely kind of use that to your advantage here. With the background as it is now in the trees, you've got this line kind of outlining the trees, to where if you just went solid with that color, I think it would have looked a little bit better using the silhouette technique. Same thing here, just with the kind of coloring that you use, that airbrush look to it that goes outside of the lines. I think it would have looked a lot crisper and read a lot better if you went with something silhouette like this. And then also here, we've talked before about shadows, so I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on this one. So we've got kind of the shadow here just coming down in one line. It's curved at least a little bit, which is nice because a lot of times people will just put a straight line. So I do like the curve, but really kind of think about where your light source is coming from and kind of see, okay, how would that play with the character and the different pieces of the design. So here, obviously, we've got some reflection here. So we've got the light source coming in this way. So one thing you could have done here, rather than just coming down with a straight line or a curved line like this, is gone here and kind of added some shadows in where the hair would have casted a shadow. So you'd have some shadows there. And then even here, kind of making the curve a little bit more to the face and kind of wrapped around the bottom of the mouth here, just so it's not a perfect line coming down and around. Same thing here with the skirts. With this, kind of where the waist is, you could have pulled another line here, kind of underneath there, just so it's not a straight line. I do like the wrap around here that you've got. And then even here, if you wanted to bring out some kind of like almost curved triangles to just simulate a little bit of like the overlapping fabric, could do something like that as well, just to build it up a little bit more. And then once we get down to the mushroom cap, same thing here I've talked about before, is kind of following the curve of whatever you're shading in. So with this, we've got a nice, round curve to the mushroom. I would have kind of continued, pulling that around into a curve like so. I know this is going to go over everything, but, just to give that more kind of organic curve to it. Same thing here with the leg. Of course, shadow coming in here. This leg's going to cast a shadow too. So if you brought in the shadow here on that left side of the leg, that would have added a little bit more believability to the way that the shadow falls. So we've got that, and then same thing here when we curve around. I do like the curve here. Probably would have pulled it over just a little bit further, and then brought, you know, this down as well, kind of following underneath the rest of that underneath the cat. But just a really cute design. I love the character itself. Just really great big expressive eyes and just an overall cute design. So keep practicing with some of those tips, using the silhouettes for the background, and then also just getting a little bit more accustomed to where the shadows would fall. But just a great job, Cheri. So thanks so much for sharing that this week. Next up is Karina, and Karina said that this one was done with Copic markers and watercolor on a watercolor board. Sorry, I had to pull that up real quick. Karina said she also works digitally, but this one is a traditional piece. So once again, love seeing the traditional work in addition to the digital in the group, and I love this design. She didn't necessarily say this was for the weekly art challenge in the post, so hopefully, you know, this is an elf. I mean, it's got the elf ears, so I went ahead and picked it this week. So if this wasn't intended for the challenge, you still made the video anyways, because I counted it as an elf. But I like the overall composition. So kind of having this circular frame here is really cool, but then having the main character offset, everything's kind of heavy as far as the main character goes to that left hand side. I think that's a really cool design choice. Instead of just going dead set in the center, it makes it a little bit more interesting, but you still have, you know, these mushrooms down here, which kind of balances everything out, which is cool. Also having the horns here come out of that circular frame is nice too. I love when you use a circular frame as just kind of a backdrop, and everything's not really contained inside that. I like when people do that overlapping feature and kind of breaks that fourth wall of the frame, which is a nice design choice. Same thing here with the little petals here coming around, the little decorative pieces around here kind of builds up that frame and adds a little extra touch to details. I think that's cool. Color wise, just fantastic. Of course, we got this very light kind of greenish blue hues in here for the main character in the background, and then these pinks of the mushrooms just really pull everything together and make everything kind of pop off the page. And I just love the build-up technique that was used here with the watercolors and stuff. Just really, really fantastic. A lot of great textures in there that I love seeing. So fantastic job. I think Karina said she was new to the group too, so welcome to the group. Also, she can be found online. She's got an Instagram, the Artistic Newfie, and then also on YouTube as well. So definitely check her out. The YouTube handle is the same. So thanks for sharing that this week, Karina. Next up is Brandon, and Brandon's got this elf inside of a cage, and I love this one just because very kind of, once again, no words, no anything else we've talked about before, but really tells a story just with one single image. So you want to know more about this elf. Why is he in a cage? You know, why is he crying? We've got teardrops coming down here. You know, what led him to be captured and put in this cage? So anytime that you can kind of invoke interest in the viewer, wanting to know more about what's going on in the illustration or the scene, I think is a really good design choice to be able to cause that to happen when a person looks at your artwork. So really, really cool there. As far as the design itself goes, character design is great. Anatomy on this thing is just fantastic. I love just how you laid everything out. It's got a really believable pose to the character, which I think is cool. The cage itself is done really well in addition, so great job there. Would love to see this colored in. Definitely, I think it works, you know, just plain black and white, but I saw one of your posts, I think it was last week for Bonsai, initially posted just a black and white and then went back in and colored it. And I said, don't really grasp the coloring too well, or I'm not sure exactly what was said, but basically a struggle with color. But I think the Bonsai one turned out good, so definitely I'd say reapproach this one, go back in and do some coloring there. Clean up a little bit as far as the lines go. I know down here you kind of had some overlapping of that base there, and same thing here on this bottom one. And then looks like down here maybe something got erased by mistake on the toes and where that extra line comes in. So clean that up first, but I would love to see it colored in. And then here too, I love the line weights throughout. I think the line weight on the hair is a wise choice, going a little bit lighter just to show it's a little bit more flowing, but I probably would have thickened that up just a tad. I wouldn't have gone in too much stronger with it, but I think it's almost non-existent, so I probably would have gone in just a tad bit thicker on there. If I can get it lined up here. Not crazy thick, but just something like that, just a little bit thicker, just to kind of match the other parts a little bit without going, you know, too overboard. Leaving this in here, I think, is cool as far as having a light line weight in there. But yeah, I would love to see it colored in. So great job, Brandon. I really like seeing that one this week. Next up is Kaz, and Kaz did this female elf, which I think is fantastic. Once again, great as far as anatomy goes, proportions, and the overall pose, I think works really, really well. Kind of like this, you know, peering back over the shoulder, and everything's in its place where it's supposed to be, and it looks really good. Same thing with the shading here. It flows with the anatomy just like it should, so a fantastic job there. I also like this kind of glow around the character, really kind of separates it from the background, so it makes it stand out and it doesn't blend in too much to the background. And of course this texture throughout the background is super cool too, and the way that this kind of drapes and falls down here is nice with that extra kind of glow around there to break it up from the background as well. So Kaz has got some awesome stuff. She started doing merch by Amazon and KDP, so if you guys are in the group, definitely check out her stuff. She's killing it right now as far as just staying busy with making designs, and love seeing what she's doing. So thanks so much for sharing that this week, Kaz. Next up is Chloe, and Chloe's got this very cute cartoony piece. Love the overall design with the two characters facing each other here. This little like magic water, it almost looks like a question mark. I think it's super great. Love just the simplicity of the designs and the simplicity of the anatomy and everything else. Once again, not trying to overwork it. We've got just, once again, these kind of noodle arms that come around, and I think that's cool. I think it works, and once again, that's the beauty of cartoons. So great job here too with this background. I know a lot of people kind of struggle with the horizon line and really kind of want to go in and, you know, just draw a straight line across here and be done. But I like how this is kind of has the grass coming up here, and you've got the blades, and then, you know, the line's not perfect, a little bit shaky, and it comes up, and you've got the dirt path here kind of has its own kind of shakiness to it and shows, you know, the curves here. I think that's cool. So a fantastic job there, and nice job with the sky too, just breaking it up. Good use of the colors there to make everything kind of stand out against each other. So just a really cool design, a really cool characters overall, just a great one. And Chloe's got her Instagram stuff down here. Is that right? Is it, because I know your name's Chloe, Chloe, right? And you got Chole, so is that right? I don't know. Try it both ways, guys. But wanted to give her Instagram a shout out as well. And next up, we got Jessica. Jessica's got this kind of warrior elf, which is really cool. And then this huge bird up here on top of the staff, which is a really nice touch. Love the glow here, and it's really well done too. This kind of blue glow giving off this kind of luminance on the hair and across the body and the wings of the bird, and on these kind of plant things here coming up. I think these are kind of cool. Kind of as it comes up, it kind of frames the overall character, which is cool. These little parts coming out here, super awesome as well. Just a really cool character design and a really cool idea. Really great coloring with that, and the way that the glow works there. I think you did a fantastic job. A couple things on here we'll talk about with anatomy. Once again, like I said, don't get too caught up in the anatomy when you can get away with certain things with cartoons, but there are, you know, certain areas where you do kind of have to still consider what's going on. So the first thing that I saw when I looked at this, I thought, okay, where is her other arm at? So this arm that's on this side here, I didn't know where the arm was initially, just because this kind of pulled and turned so much that you drop the shoulder out here, which I think it needs to be in there just because you can't really tell where this is coming, and the way that the body is now, it would have to be twisted so much more to have this shoulder totally hidden. So I would pull that shoulder in back here and then just have, you know, the arm coming here. So you got would be the red here, and then the tan of the skin tone here, to where you could see where the shoulder and the arm were coming down. Likewise here, kind of be careful when you start to combine and where the head merges with the neck and chest and so on and so forth. So we got this necklace here, which means that her neck's right here, but yet the chest area is coming up past where the neck is. So basically this chest would have to lead up into here, and then the shoulder would come right here. So you want to make sure it goes, you know, head, neck, shoulders, and chest. In this case, you've got the head, and then the chest is here, and then the neck's here. So make sure that those kind of fall into that normal human anatomy type of thing. Like I said, of course you can play around with how everything plays into each other, but this is one thing that you kind of would have to have in the correct proportions so it looks right. But a really good job. I like the character. I probably would have changed to this color here, like I said, with not knowing exactly where that arm was at first. I think one of the reasons here, because this hand here blends in so much to everything right here. So maybe going with a different color for the gloves, that would help everything stand out a little bit more too. And then if you wanted to, you know, tie them in like you have them tied in here, maybe make a yellow for the gloves, and then you could do, you know, the mid-arm gauntlet here, and then the top in yellow too, just to make it stand out a little bit more. But a really, really great job. So thanks so much for sharing that one this week, Jessica. And last is Jamaa, and this one just a really fantastic design. It's crisp, it's clean. The line work is just fantastic. Great use of tapers here on the ends of the lines and the hair. Same thing here with the eyes coming down, and it just has a really, like I said, crisp, professional look to it. Love the colors that you went with as well. It's super kind of dark, but it works, especially with this white stroke outline. Of course, if you hadn't done that, here the scarf that's wrapped around would have bled directly into the background. So I think with that stroke around there, it definitely causes that not to happen, and I think it works well. I wouldn't really lighten anything up. I think the dark works, especially with the kind of lighter hair color here. It just makes everything pop, and it draws your kind of attention into her face. So just a really cool overall design. Wouldn't really change much of anything on this. I think it works well, and it pops, and it just looks fantastic. So that is it for this week's submissions for Elf. Alright guys, that's it for this week's video. As always, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Special thanks to everyone that submitted designs this week as well. You guys are awesome. Also, if you like today's video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell for notifications so you can get alerted when I post new videos. So if you guys want to take part in these art challenges, here is how. Basically, I started a group on Facebook called Keep Creating, a Learn, Draw, Share art community, which I will link in the description below. Join over there, post your designs, or if you don't have Facebook, you can always tag me on Instagram or Twitter at BJDell, or email them to me. My contact information is on my website, bjdell.com. So last week's word was elf, and this week is totally different. We're not actually going to have a word of the week this week. Instead, we're going to have a shape of the week. So I follow another artist on Instagram who I absolutely love, and I'm sure some of you guys will be familiar with. His name is Beastrek, and he does these art shape challenges. He hasn't done one for a while, but I thought it would be fun to kind of do one of these. So this is the shape that you're going to be drawing. Basically, your design has to be fitted to that shape. You can twist it, you can turn it any direction that you want to, but you've got to use that shape. So I'm going to go ahead and post that shape in the group. I'm also going to post it on my website too. So if you go to my website, bjdell.com, you can download it off of there if you are not part of Facebook. So I want to see what kind of crazy designs that you can fit in this shape. If you guys watched my cloud challenge video, which I'll link up there, it's kind of the same idea. If you see a shape in the cloud and think, oh, that looks like X, and then you draw X. That's what I did in that video, so that's what I want you guys to do with this, and can't wait to see what you guys come up with. So I do these videos on Wednesday, which means you have from Wednesday until the following Tuesday to submit your design. And you know where to find me online, so until next time, keep creating.